I used to work at a pizza restaurant. I'll get into it later. So at this pizza restaurant, we've got three sizes of pizza, right?
Yeah.
And customers would always call and they would ask, how many slices is your extra large? How many slices are your large? How many slices are your medium? And I would always tell them, we can cut it into however many slices you'd like. Because it's their pizza. We'll cut it into however many slices they like. And my boss told me, you got to stop answering that. I said, why? And he said, well, they want to know how big the pizza is. And I said, well, the 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 pizza is not going to change. The number of slices isn't going to change how big the pizza is. Why don't they just ask how big is the pizza? And I don't even remember what he said. There's no way that he could have given me a satisfactory answer, right?
No, but I think they actually make sense. And you're being like
What?
a bad person.
Okay, so if I tell you that our extra large pizza is 8 slices, how big is it?
Huh. Yeah, okay.
Right? Like,
But yeah, I think I kind of understand because like the small you
they
you
want to
cut
know how
in.
many people it feeds,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Got it.
And if they asked how many people can eat the extra large, I would say, maybe 6 people.
It isn't.
We cut it
It
into eight
isn't.
slices, though.
Okay. Okay. Got it. What if a person is very fat and
It
eats a
feeds
lot?
half.
So
It feeds half a person. We cut it into one slice. We just serve you the thing. You would roll it up.
I took the train yesterday to my hometown from Moscow, and it was like a business class because there were no tickets. It's holidays, and you have food in business class they bring you. And I saw a very, very fat girl lie to a worker that she didn't get her food so she can get the second portion. I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
So you saw her eat the first one.
because I thought it was a general mistake, but then I saw her return to her chair and the person that was with her, maybe her boyfriend, laughed and like smiled as if they tricked everyone. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like you're not supposed to help us create the stereotypes about you. Like, you're supposed to do the opposite. Like
That's pretty bad.
it's like I was like, this is horrible. And it wasn't like good food. It was literally like it was very pretty. It was a box, and this box had a bottle of water, a little pack of juice, two bags of tea, green and black, a bag of coffee. You have the access to hot water and lemon. It had sugar, and it had like a piece of nice bread. I don't know, like white bread. What do
She's
you
gonna
call
eat
it?
the
Like,
lemon.
and you could have with the bread, you could have either sausage or I don't know what it's called. You know, this meat, mashed meat that you put on bread. Is it
What?
called anything?
Ground beef?
Like meat paste.
Okay, sure.
And she lied for that. Yeah. So it was so funny.
That is
You
very
would-
funny. This is the
yeah.
Peach and Coconut podcast where we talk about cultural differences between America, Russia, and other places. Lyra, how are you?
I'm good. Was I not supposed to say fat? Was
You
I
can say fat
supposed
as much as you want here, especially if the person is fat.
um am I supposed to say overweight?
You can call them however you feel is appropriate.
I want to be a polite person. Yeah, so yeah, in Russia we call them fat, but it's another word.
There you
So
go. So
I don't know.
today we were going to talk about beauty standards. No,
What?
yesterday we were going to talk about beauty standards. Yesterday we were going to talk about beauty standards, but Lyra wanted to
Sure.
talk about. Lyra said that she wasn't pretty enough to talk about beauty standards yesterday,
Yesterday.
and
Yes.
so she changed the topic and then postponed it by one day. So we're here to talk about complaints.
Complaints. Yes.
So
Um,
I think the most interesting way to talk about complaints is going to be through personal anecdotes. Lyra, do you have any very compelling complaint stories?
Actually, I do. I don't think it's compelling. So I had so right now, if you know what's going on in Russia, and if you know about the consequences of what's going on in Russia, you probably know that it's very, very, very hard to travel outside of Russia. And most of like brands that we use for skincare, for clothing, for whatever, left Russia. So I
Okay.
had a trip to America and I bought a bunch of clothes and shoes and stuff for my family.
Mm-hmm.
I had like 3 big bags and I went to Moscow and I had to order like a delivery service to take my parents' stuff to my hometown.
Okay.
And so the stuff in Russia, it would cost a lot of money because of the sanctions and because of the price difference. It would be like very expensive. It would be like 2 people's salary in this bag. And I was kind of worried. In America, the worth was maybe $500, $600. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just for example, I bought like a couple of Levi's jeans, and Levi's jeans in American discount store is like how much? $30.
Uh-huh.
In Russia, it would be like $200. So you have to multiply by that much. So in the delivery service, I was worried that someone would steal something because it's not like it never happens. And I called them and I asked them about their security, and they said, well, this delivery guy comes to you and he puts your stuff in his bag and he covers everything with a tape and you see it and he puts like this thing. I was like, okay, I'm fine. And the
Were
delivery
you
guy came.
just to be clear, were you worried about the delivery guy stealing it or somebody else?
I think somebody opening it at some point and stealing something from it.
Okay. Okay. So, do you think that that guy would be in the organization or outside of the organization?
In the organization.
Okay, so that answers my question.
Yeah. In the organization. We don't have this people that just come to people in the street and steal stuff. We don't have that. So the delivery guy comes and he says, do you have a bag? I was like, no, I'm told you have a box. And he says, no, I don't. So he just takes my bag, which is a travel bag, and takes with him no tape, no badge, no whatever. And I'm like, And the guy looks very suspicious. He's like, oh, what do you have there? I'm like, is it like presents for your family? I'm like, no, but it's just my winter clothes. Like, I don't live in Moscow, sending them to my parents. So it was very suspicious. And I called their support and I said, hey, like, I have this situation. I would like to you can like, insure. I would like to insure this stuff for this amount of money.
Okay.
And the person says, yeah, sure, you can insure. And he said, okay, send me all the receipts for all the
prove
all
it.
the. I was like, what the hell? I was like, I don't have all the receipts. And she said, well, I can't help you. Then I got mad and I sent her some receipts in dollars. And she said, dollars doesn't work. You need to send me receipts in rubles.
What?
Yeah.
What, you gonna go and ask to have the transaction be made in rubles?
In America.
Right. You're going to go back to the United States and ask them to retroactively do it in rubles? Good luck.
Yeah. And so I was like, and I was very polite to this person. I was like, okay, she just has her scripts. She doesn't make any decisions. I was like, okay, listen, I made it in America. They have dollars. Dollar is exchanged in Russia. It's a currency that we have here.
Right.
Like we exchange.
Yeah, this isn't new.
Yeah, this isn't like Czech krone or whatever. It's like we have it.
Right.
And it's like, well, I can help you. I was like, cool. And she was like, do you have like receipts from your bank card? So Russian bank cards don't work outside of Russia because of sanctions. And I made purchases from my friend's card, from Riley's card. And I was like, well, I do have receipts from my friend's card. She was like, it has to be in rubles. And I thought, well, it doesn't work. The cards and rubles don't work outside of Russia. So I think we ended up me being super mad and her just not helping me at all. She said, nope, it has to be rubles. I don't care. And she said that she could insure it for like $100, which is their minimum thing. They don't need any proof. And this is very showing of Russian complaint culture, which means that you really have to be mad and toxic for it to work. Because I made a story on Instagram. I don't know what compelled me. I have like 1,000 subscribers.
Uh-huh.
And I tagged the company because I saw people do that with this particular company. And I
Okay.
tagged them and I said, like, guys, what the hell? Like, why is it so hard? Like, we are in Moscow. We are a pretty advanced city. Everything works well here. And the company contacted me and fixed my problem in 5 minutes. They said, of
Wow.
course, doors are fine. You don't need any proof. Doors are fine. Everything is fine. And they said, like, oh, we don't want you to worry. We contacted your package, and we made sure it's all taped. They sent me the picture. They sent me the traction. They said that they'll try to speed it up. And it was at home a day earlier. And so, have I not posted the story, it wouldn't have happened. And it's really stupid because now it compels me to be toxic and tag companies and then go public and like
Well,
offend them.
we've got a saying in America: the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So, you
Yeah.
sometimes it does pay to be that guy.
And it's like, and this is what I told you before about Russian culture, that people really feel if they're nice and polite, their problems never get solved. But I thought it was funny because it was like it happened when I posted on my story, which I did. I don't know why. Is this reminds you of something that you had in your life?
Mm, I don't usually make a whole lot of complaints, so I'm usually the one that's getting complained to, for better or for worse. I
Okay.
talked about this pizza place that I worked at. I worked there for a very long time, just on and off. It's a great family-run business. So I was
Mhm.
there maybe my first year of college, and this woman comes into this pizza place, and she is very quiet. She's very sort of sheltered, and not she's very guarded. She's not trying to emote very much. She's not very open. She seems like she really dislikes talking right now. And she's asking me about the prices of some stuff, and I tell her, and she makes an order, and she orders a slice of pizza and a garlic knot, and she gets it to go. And so I put it in the oven for her. I take it out. I put it in the box. I give it to her. She asks for extra mozzarella sauce, which we charge for, but I don't charge it. I don't charge her for it. I give her the extra mozzarella sauce, and she goes to the back, which is a weird place to take a to-go order. Usually, you would take the to-go order to go. She paid with card. This is an important part of the story. She paid with card. So about 15 minutes later, she comes back to the front, and she asks me, "Excuse me, can you read?" And I'm a little taken aback by this question, because people don't generally ask you in the year 2010 if you can read, right? Generally people got this whole reading thing down a while ago. And so I'm a little shaken, but I said, yeah, I can read. And she shows me her card, and she says, "What does this say?" And on the back of her card, where her signature is, it says CID. So American credit cards, you have the signature on the back, so that when you sign, you can verify that the signature on the card is the signature on your receipt, so that it's like an identity confirmation. And she wants her identity to be confirmed manually by somebody looking at her ID, like her driver's license, every time, instead of through signature.
What a weird thing to get mad about.
Right. So she wanted me to confirm her ID for a purchase of $5.17 of pizza. And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't think that usually people don't want me to do that. They just write that there because they think it's a neat thing to write. And she said, it was the worst pizza I ever had. And then she left.
This is so horrible. Like she set you up.
So I was really taken aback by this. It was very strange. Like, if she had a real complaint about this pizza, she probably would have gone about addressing it in a different way. But I think that sometimes people just make complaints to kind of flex their muscles, especially in America, where I think that our Sioux culture makes it really dangerous for people to not comply with complaints, right? If somebody makes a complaint, then they could, and you don't do your best to solve their complaint, then they can sue you and end up getting way more than they ever would have if you just addressed their complaint in the first place. So I think that some people just take that like a power trip. And you can see that with the Karen meme that's become really popular, the middle-aged woman who's searching for complaints to make about small things, and this woman would definitely fit into that category. But it's something I'll never forget. So after she stormed out, I went to the back where she ate inside, even though she had a to-go order, and she did finish the entire pizza. So even if it was the worst she had in her life, she managed to finish it all. So that's the sort of funny thing about the story.
That's horrible. I don't know. We had I was working in a pizzeria in America too,
Uh-huh.
and had like a summer job, and it was also a family-run pizzeria, and
Mm-hmm.
there were also sandwiches, and we had a guy in the staff that was bipolar,
Okay.
so sometimes it was difficult for him to. I'm not even sure if he was bipolar, but I think he was.
Okay.
I think I was told about this, and it was difficult for him to concentrate sometimes,
Okay.
which now I don't think is related to being bipolar. Um,
Okay.
and so there was a guy, there was an old man, that would come to this place to have breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and someone forgot about his order. So someone forgot, and I think the guy waited for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And so it made such a, and my boss was quite toxic. She was this old lady, very toxic. She blamed us for everything. Me studying management for 2 years, I figured it was not the problem of her high school students that worked for her. It was problem of her management. Anyways, and so he asked for his order, and we figured out that everyone forgot about it because there was a bipolar guy and me, a Russian student that luckily I wasn't responsible for that. And so the guy started yelling so much. He said he was coming to this pizzeria for 20 years to have his breakfast. And such negligence is horrible. And he will never get back there, never in his life.
Well,
And the owner, she was so upset. She made this sandwich in like a minute and started running after him. And I was like, I thought, what a jerk.
yeah.
20 it's just 20 minutes of your life. You're old. Like
Well, I mean,
what
maybe he's not got a whole lot of time left, right? Maybe he's,
maybe
yeah,
like what's your plan for the day? Get mad or
I think it's funny
what
that he's been coming to the pizzeria for 20 years, and that one kind of minor mistake that
yeah.
could have been fixed relatively quickly cost him it kind of
Yeah.
seems like it was a tenuous 20 years, right? Like, I could go to this pizzeria. It's pretty close. I'll go there. 20 years of that sort of attitude, and then
Yeah, it was really weird.
uh-huh.
And I think the owner, yeah, she was really worried about clients and stuff. Now I understand her when I start my own kind of small business, but
Do you think that her eagerness to try to win him back is the same in Russia? Do you think if the guy made that sort of outburst in Russia, if it would have been handled differently?
no, I think in Russia we have a very, very nice culture of keeping your face or speaking like equal to your client. So for instance, I work with startup founders in a startup accelerator, and We have very stupid clients that just make inappropriate complaints and very toxic ones, very in a Russian way. For example, my last complaint this summer, I organized networking events, and our building is in the heart of Moscow. Like,
Okay.
if Moscow had a heart, that would be the street I have my office on.
Okay.
Everyone knows the street. It's super popular.
Okay.
And so we had like breakfast for startup founders at 10 a.m. And the girl texts in the client chat with all the startups, which has 200 people, that we are horrible organizers because we didn't tell them there's no place to park. And we're like, it's like close to Red Square. Everyone knows there's no place to park. Like, you have a map of parking spots in Moscow where it shows you all the parking places.
Yeah.
And at that point, I sent it to my team, and it was kind of my like the direction of my responsibility, kind of.
Right.
And my boss told me like, "Wow, she's such a bitch," and everyone just made fun of her in the team. And we answered very seriously. We're like, "Hey, dear Marina," or whatever was her name, everyone, like, there is an available list of parking spots. Sorry, but like, we never post information about parking spots. It's your responsibility. You knew the address. I think that's very showing of generally attitude when people want to also keep their staff not uh, what's the word? Not like below the client.
Yeah, it's an important part of motivation, right? To make sure that your staff isn't constantly having to degrade themselves for these ridiculous requests.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we don't have this, but the situation with my American boss, is that common? Is that
Yeah,
like,
I think so. I think that generally American business people will go very far, especially in restaurants. I feel like restaurant staff generally goes especially far to ensure customer satisfaction, even to a degree that is maybe sort of beyond the pale. At that pizzeria that I worked at, there were lots of very, very, very demanding customers who were very, very, very particular about all sorts of strange details about their pizzas. And we would, there was very, I don't think I can remember a single request where we refused to comply, which is, it probably shows that we are too accommodating, right? If you can't think of a single time where you said, no, we can't do that, that's too much, then that's,
yeah, true. Yeah, that's insane. We in restaurants, we don't even have people asking for like compliments or something. People can be like passive aggressive a little, like, why is it taking they won't even say why is it taking so long. They can say like, oh, like, do you remember about of our order? Like, is our order coming? But we don't have compliment culture that much. Some it depends on the place, but not so much. We don't have compliments for mistakes that much. And
what do you mean compliments for mistakes?
like, if the
Oh,
restaurant made
complimentary. I see.
complimentary stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I see.
Um,
Yeah, I guess
for
that would
example,
be compliments. Yeah.
like, we ordered, I was at a brunch with my friends, and we had like eggs, like croissant with an egg and with avocado, like toast.
Okay.
And he brought us everything except for the avocado, which is an important thing
Right.
for like
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. You went from a very nice toast to a rather plain toast.
Yeah. Oh, it was like, also there was salmon. So it was like kind of, it was nice, but avocado was necessary.
Yeah.
And we waited, I think, for like 15 minutes for avocado to come.
Uh huh.
And we didn't expect anything for it. He just made us a joke, like, "Oh, sorry guys, I have this war with the kitchen today. They hate me." And we were like, "Ha ha ha!" Like, poor you. Here's your avocado. So that was, oh, like, we don't have this. Oh, like, sorry, blah blah. Do you have any other stories?
Yeah. Another one where I was behind the counter. Um,
Okay.
it's a kind of similar story of a sort of nightmare customer. So, but this one was very different. So I was working at a card shop. We bought and sold sports cards, Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that. And so I was the resident Pokemon staffer. So I was in charge of all the Pokemon purchases that came in. And so this guy comes in on my day off, and he has a binder of stuff that he wants to sell. And they send me a text message, and I say, okay, well, just, get me a list of the stuff that he wants to sell, and I'll message you what we're willing to pay for it. And the guy who's at the store texts me back. He says, no, he wants to talk to you. And I say, okay, I guess I'll go in on my day off to talk to this guy. And so I've already gone through, he sent me an entire picture of the binder already. And so I've already gone through and I've found out the things that we want. And all I was going to do is see what he wanted to sell and see where our prices were at. And then that would have been the end of it. So I already know what I want to buy, and I already know what he's got. So I walk in and I tell him this, like, okay, so here's the list of the things that you have that I want, and here's how much I'll pay you for those things.
Yeah.
What of these are you willing to sell? And he says, no. Go through my binder and point out the things. Okay. And so I go to his binder and I point at the first thing that I have on my list. I say, okay, so here's a full art Brock's Grit. I'm willing to pay you $1.50 for this card. And he says, $1.50? That's a $60 card. I'm like, no, that card's retailing at about $3 right now. So we're paying you about half price for it. I bump it up to maybe like $180, but that's as high as we can go. He says, this is a $60 card. I can't believe that you would try to swindle me like this. You guys are some wolves in sheep's clothing. You're trying to rip me off. I'm going to go to Coastal Carolina card shop, and they're going to give me the price that I deserve for these. And he takes all his stuff and he gets out of there. And I'm like, what a guy. This dude's so mad. But like, so as he's packing up his stuff, I'm like, look, here's the website that we use to check prices. You should take a look at this website before you go somewhere else. And he storms out of there. This gentleman forgot that he was charging his phone inside of our shop.
Okay.
And so one of the things he mentioned as he was leaving is that he's going to write a really bad review. And so when he comes back to get his phone, I ask, have you written that review yet? And he says, yeah, I have. On what? He left his phone. Like, it's been like 10 minutes. Like, he's lying to us about having written the review already. What's the point of lying? You just say, no, I forgot my phone, you idiot. You knew that I left my phone in here, and you're stupid for asking me if I had written the review. That's what he should have said, but he didn't say that. So he was, like, really, really mad about this. And he did write a really bad review, saying that we were really terrible. And my boss looked at the security footage and he got a good laugh out of it because he thought this guy was ridiculous too, and he thought that I handled the situation really well, and that feels good. And we replied to his review on Google saying, like, look, man, you're crazy. You can't get that kind of money for that stuff that you're trying to sell here. But this was like a real frequent problem that people would come in and try to sell us a bunch of garbage, and we would say, look, you've got a bunch of garbage. We can't pay you anything for this. And people would get really mad, and they would accuse us of either trying to cheat them, or if maybe being racist, or being, some other way. And they were really trying to manipulate us into getting that. But the end of this guy's story is that he went to the other card shop and they told them basically exactly the same thing that we told him, that what you got here isn't what you think you got here. And he came and he amended his review, And he said, look, I was wrong. These guys are pretty
Wow.
okay. And, I was wrong in my earlier review, and they're pretty nice. And he came back and he bought stuff from us. So,
Wow.
I think that
It's
goes to
nice.
show that the Russian way of, I think it really does show that, being upfront with customers, and maybe not, berating them or anything. Like, I didn't get mad at this guy. I didn't call him an idiot or anything, not to his face, anyways. And
Yeah.
not giving in and not being
Submissive.
submissive to those people is a good play in the end.
Yeah, you're welcome. I
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. Thank you. If I hadn't had your advice in that moment, I don't know what I would have done.
Okay, no, yeah, I think it's really, really, really tricky. I had, speaking of this situation, a very quick story of similar situation. So, I have multiple bank cards, and one day I think I had some mental crisis,
Mhm.
and it was a very nice day because I had mental crisis, and my roommate bought me a flower bouquet. It was a
Okay.
very big flower bouquet to feel better. And I posted on Instagram. I was like, how nice. And all the stories are related to Instagram. And so I posted in my Instagram, and my mom saw it. And I said, like, I had mental crisis. My roommate sent me roses. So my mom sent me the fee that is the price for like a psychologist, like a therapist. And
Okay.
she sent me to this bank card that I never used. And she's like, oh, like, go to a therapist, discuss it with her, which was very nice. Like, we have the therapist culture rising in Russia right now. It's very cool for my mom to do because I don't take money from her. So it's really nice. And this service charges me the exact same price for the annual subscription of the service that I forgotten I never use, I haven't used for a year. And I get so upset, extremely upset, because I was broke and because of all the situation. And so I'm becoming very mad at them for charging me, which is essentially my fault, right? Because I forgot about it.
Right.
And so I'm texting them very mad, like, hey, um, I don't use your service, haven't used it for a year. You can check. You took all my money that I had on
Yeah.
this
Well,
card.
true.
This is horrible. And they just texted back saying like, hey, sorry, we'll like remove the transaction. And I felt so bad about myself that I apologized to the girl. I was like, I'm so sorry for being so aggressive. And she texted like, oh, like, I'm glad we could help. We are support. We're
That's
here to
good.
help. So yeah, I felt very bad. And I think I stopped being super bad to like this support people.
All right. I've got one last funny where I am the plaintiff here.
Okay.
Okay, so I
Well,
got a traffic ticket. I was
okay.
going 41 miles per hour in a 25 mile an hour zone.
Okay.
25 miles an hour being, you can do the conversions yourself. Screw you.
I can't. I don't know the miles. Okay.
So I was going 65 and a 40. And I thought that it was a 55 kmph zone.
Okay.
Right? So 65 into 55, not that bad. 65 into 45, still not insane, but not good. Right?
Yeah.
So I got ticketed.
Okay.
And because I was going more than 15 miles over the speed limit, I have to go to a special class. They send you to a special driving class where you have to be very apologetic and learn about the importance of driving safely so that you don't hit people and send them flying into trees and stuff.
Okay.
Um, so I go to pay the ticket, and they tell me that I have to go to this class, and they give me a sheet of paper and say, you have to take a class. Take this class. Come here on December 6th, and we'll get it sorted out. I say, okay. and on the sheet of paper there's an address, right, for the
Okay.
class. So I go to the class on December 6th, and I'm the only person there who was going below 70 kilometers an hour. Everybody else is super, super speed demon territory. They're way above 80.
Okay.
And I feel like an idiot because I'm only here because I didn't realize that the zone that I was traveling in was a 45 zone. I thought it was a 55 zone.
Okay.
So I finish the class, and then I wait, and in the mail comes a piece of mail from the government, which is a failure to appear charge. So I had a court date, but the problem is when the guy handed me an address and said, come here on this day, I thought he meant come here to the address on this piece of paper on this day. And what he meant was go to this place on this day and then come back here on the day that I tell you.
That's what I thought actually.
Right. No, I mean, that's a reasonable way to interpret the statement, right? If somebody hands you an address that says come here on this day.
Oh, I thought what he meant.
Like go to this class and well, I mean,
Yeah.
but you understand how I would make this mistake where if somebody hands you a piece of paper with an address on it and says come here.
Yeah, I guess maybe you're just stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but like, you don't think that would be unreasonable, right? Like I think that's a
Yeah, it's
reasonable
not-
interpretation.
yeah.
It's one of those two things for sure, right? If it's not the first one, it's definitely the second.
Yeah.
And so I'm flustered. I don't know what to do. And my dad gives me advice. Okay, well, you should go to the courthouse and you should talk to somebody and you should see if you can't get this failure to appear charge dismissed because you have the paper from the class saying that you were there on that day. So I go there, and there's an old white guy that's the district attorney. And I explained to him this situation. I say, sir, I was speeding. I had a speeding ticket. I was instructed to take a class. When I came here to get the information, they gave me a sheet of paper with an address and he told me to come here on this day. And so when he gave me the sheet of paper and I saw the address on it, I thought that he meant come here on to the sheet of paper. And the guy said, what do you want me to do? I said, well, here's the thing showing that I followed what I thought were his instructions, right? I had no intention of disobeying. I had no intention of not appearing when I was supposed to. I did exactly what I was told, right? I went here on the day that I was instructed to. Why would I go there, right? Why would I go to this other place if it was not an honest mistake, right? This would be sort of a strange ploy,
Yeah.
right? Like this, if I was willing to take it would be one thing if I didn't go to the class, right? Then he could maybe
Yeah.
blow me up for it, right? But and he said, no, I'm you're gonna have to pay this fine. This is not my problem. And I said, well, sir, come on. What? And he said, well, I'm gonna hold you in contempt of court if you keep arguing with me. And I said, well, okay. And I leave, and I call my dad, and I'm like, he's not having it. I don't know what to do. And he says, we should come back the next day. I'm like, what's that gonna do? What? Who cares? And he's like, we'll just come back the next day. And so, okay, well, whatever, you know. And so I come back the next day. There's a different guy there, younger guy. Explain to him the situation, show him the receipts that I was at the class on that day. I said, oh yeah, well, we're sorry about that mix-up. I'll get that off your record. Just that simple. He understood exactly what I was on. I didn't have to do any I didn't have to use any sort of hand gestures. I didn't have to point at the sheet of paper saying like, oh, this is where I was. Here's the address on the sheet of paper. Look, you can. I didn't have to do any of that.
Really depends on the person.
Yeah, it really does. And
There's
I think if my circumstances were different, I would think that the first guy's reasoning was very different. And I think that really made me appreciate that fact that if I was a minority, that I would think that he was being racist. Or if I was a woman, I would think that he was discriminating against me because I was a woman.
No, we don't think this way.
I think I would, but the thing is that if I was in the position of somebody else and they were rejecting me, I would assume that it was for some reason. But the actual reason is because this old guy's a dick. Right?
Yeah.
Like, but as it turns out, he's a dick to everybody. And I only know that because I'm the only kind of person that he wouldn't have been a dick to, right? So he had every reason not to be a dick to me, and he still was. And that's the only reason I can believe that he actually was just a dick
Yeah.
to anybody.
Yeah, that's okay. Um, yeah, to sum up this talk, my close friend works as a head of support in a chain of yoga and stretching places in
Okay.
Russia. Very fancy
Uh
place. She gets all the complaints, and they always make fun of like very crazy people. So like they screenshot the dialogues and send to all their friends. So if you ever are super, make sure you're getting screenshot and, and they would like text responses as if like how they would respond it actually. And they
This
have a
this is a
button.
warning to all the viewers. If you're going to make a dumb complaint, this is you. You're going to be made fun of in this way. Don't make dumb complaints.
Exactly. They're like their favorite is one. Don't text here. What do you want me to do? And they have a button that says the question was marked as rhetorical, which I think is very nice.
That is that is really good.
And now we make jokes with our friends when someone says something stupid or asks a good question. We say, "Oh, the question was marked as rhetorical."
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Would you file can you read as rhetorical?
I think so. Yeah, like sorry.
I mean she was I think she was legitimate, like it's
The question is marked as rhetorical. Cool. No, I love it. Yeah, people. I was actually asked in a pizzeria my first day of orientation. I was legit asked by this guy if I can read. He was serious.
well,
He
yeah,
was
but
in.
that's because you're foreign and so you may not be able to read English. Like people ask me if I can read all the time.
How do I learn English if I can't read it?
You can still learn by speaking. Maybe your dad was English and maybe your dad was an English speaker and he you talked with him in English, but all your books that you ever bought were in Russian.
That's insane.
It's not that
It is.
insane. I'm sure that there's
It
at least one
is.
person that can speak English but is not good at reading it.
Okay, I guess so. Yeah,
And
maybe.
even if that
Yeah,
weren't the case, then there's still plenty of people that probably don't think about that.
yeah, and I think that's a problem.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Anyways. So what do you think is the biggest difference between complaint culture in Russia and the United States?
Yeah, I think United States having very serious system that supports people in complaints in
Mhm.
like that f- feel like they were um, treated badly,
Uh-huh.
and that's why a lot of people first can be polite or second can exploit the system for
Mhm.
their personal benefit and be real jerks.
Yeah.
And the second, I think in Russia, we don't have the system, so everyone feels like they have to be toxic to be heard. And even I had to like post on my stories to get something that is super reasonable, as if to, I know, have a packet for my delivery thing.
It seems like in Russia the default stance is that there's something wrong with the customer, but America has the customer is always right approach. And I think that that is ultimately the difference between retail complaints.
Yeah, I think yes and no. We do have, especially in Moscow, we have very good service, and
Uh-huh.
big companies really give out coupons, apologize, do something nice. And we also become Americanized in this way when we want to exploit it. and we want to get our coupons. But yeah, if you're dealing with like some state service, if you're dealing with whatever, like tickets, I'm sure like your situation with the ticket, everyone would just tell you you're crazy. Like you're stupid, you're crazy, it's your problem.
Huh.
Like 100%.
That's
Like,
interesting.
yeah, university, school, it's, yeah, fault is with you, but many modern companies are following this more American standard of treating their customers, which is, I don't know. Yeah.
All
So,
right. Well, if
oh,
you have any neat stories about complaints, or you have any observations about the way that these complaints were dealt with in Russian or American culture, please leave your complaints in the comments. Don't overreact. Don't use capitals to assert that you are more upset than someone else. We'll address your complaints to the best of our abilities, and we look forward to reading them.
or we'll mark your complaint as a rhetorical question. So
Don't ask.
be,
Don't 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 ask rhetorical questions, and don't file stupid complaints.
yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like this video and follow our channel so we know we want to record more videos like that. Ooh, weird. Yeah, thumbs up. And yeah, see you in the next videos.
See ya.
Bye.